Every day, a young man in an old security uniform stood at the gate of one of Nigeria's biggest tech companies. He greeted workers with a quiet nod. He opened the gate with steady hands. He smiled when people passed by. But nobody knew his secret. Nobody knew that behind that simple uniform was the son of a billionaire, a man who owned half the buildings in Lagos. His real name was not Chike, it was Eziobi. And he was not there to guard anything. He was there to learn something his father's money could never teach him: how real people survive. Who was he really? Why did he hide? And what happened when a kind woman with a warm heart saw him not as a rich man's son, but as a human being worthy of love? Sit back and find out as we delve into this touching story. In the heart of Lagos, inside a tall glass building that reflected the morning sun, a young man sat alone in a large office. His name was Eziobi. He was 28 years old, tall, well-built, and dressed in an expensive suit that probably cost more than most people's rent. But his eyes looked empty. He stared at the city below, watching people rush to work, hawkers selling food by the roadside, drivers honking in traffic. His father's voice echoed from the hallway. "Eziobi, come here now." Eziobi sighed and stood up. He walked into his father's massive office. His father, Chief Okonkwo, sat behind a huge desk, his face serious and hard. "Sit down," Chief Okonkwo said firmly. Eziobi sat. "You are my only son," his father began. "Everything I have built, all this empire, will be yours one day. But you must be ready. You must be strong. You must know how to lead." Eziobi looked down at his hands. "Father, I don't think I am ready." Chief Okonkwo's face darkened. "What do you mean you are not ready? You have everything. Education, money, connections. What more do you need?" Eziobi lifted his head slowly. "I need to understand people, Father. I need to know what it feels like to struggle. I need to know if I can lead people I have never truly lived among." His father slammed his hand on the desk. "Nonsense. You don't need to suffer to lead. You need power. You need discipline." Eziobi stood up, his jaw tight. "Maybe that is where we are different." He turned and walked out. That night, alone in his bedroom, Eziobi made a decision. He would leave his luxury life behind. He would go undercover as a security guard at one of their own companies. He would live like a common man. He would learn the truth. And no one, not even his father, would know. 2 weeks later, a man in a faded blue security uniform stood at the front gate of the same company Eziobi's family owned. His name tag read, Chike. His hair was cut low. His face was calm. His hands were rough from carrying heavy things. No one recognized him. No one looked twice. He was just another security guard trying to survive in Lagos. He rented a small one-room apartment near the company. The room had one bed, one table, one chair, and a small stove. The walls were cracked. The ceiling leaked when it rained. But Eziobi, now called Chike, sat on that bed every night and smiled. "This is real life," he whispered to himself. "This is what I needed to see." Every morning, he woke up at 5 a.m. He wore his uniform. He walked to the gate. He stood under the hot sun for hours. His legs ached. His back hurt. His throat felt dry. But he did not complain. He watched people. He listened to their stories. He learned their pain. One morning, as he stood by the gate, a woman walked toward him. She was young, maybe 26 or 27. Her name was Amara. She wore a simple dress and carried a small bag. Her smile was soft and warm, like morning sunlight breaking through clouds. "Good morning," she said gently. Chike blinked in surprise. Most people never greeted security guards. "Good morning, Ma," he replied. Amara stopped and looked at him closely. "You are the new guard, right?" "Yes, Ma. What is your name?" "Chike," she smiled again. "Welcome, Chike. My name is Amara. I work at the reception inside. If you need anything, just let me know." Chike nodded slowly, his heart suddenly feeling something strange. "Thank you, Ma." Amara walked away, but Chike kept staring at her until she disappeared into the building. He touched his chest lightly. "What was that?" He whispered. Days passed quietly, and Chike began to see Amara almost every day. She greeted him every morning. She asked him how he was doing. She brought him cold water on hot afternoons. "Shaikh, you have been standing too long," she said one day. "Drink this. You will faint if you don't rest." Shaikh took the bottle with both hands. "Thank you, Amara. You are very kind." She shook her head with a small laugh. "I am not doing anything special. I just believe everyone deserves to be treated well." Shaikh watched her walk away again, and something inside him shifted. He had never met someone like her, someone who saw him as a person, not as a tool, not as a title, not as a rich man's son, just as Shaikh, just as a human being. As weeks went by, Shaikh learned more about the company from the inside. He saw how the workers suffered. He saw managers shouting at cleaners. He saw guards working 12-hour shifts with no break. He saw people borrowing money just to pay for their children's school fees. One evening, another guard named Emeka sat beside him at the gate. "Shaikh, you are a good man," Emeka said quietly. "But this life is hard. My son is sick. I need money for hospital, but they will not pay us until next month." Shaikh's heart squeezed in pain. "How much do you need?" Emeka sighed. 50,000 naira. "But where will I find it?" That night, Shaikh went to his small room, pulled out some money he had hidden, and the next morning, he gave it to Emeka. "Take this," Shaikh said. "Pay the hospital. Your son needs you." Emeka stared at the money, his eyes wide. "Shaikh, where did you get this?" "Don't ask. Just take it." Emeka's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, my brother. God bless you." Shaikh only nodded. He could not explain that the money meant nothing to him, but Emeka's gratitude meant everything. One afternoon, Amara came outside holding a small nylon bag. "Shaikh, I brought you lunch," she said with a smile. "I made too much rice at home, so I thought I should share." Shaikh looked at the food, then at her. "Amara, why do you do this?" She tilted her head, confused. "Do what? Why do you care so much? Why do you treat me like I matter?" Amara's face softened. She sat on the small bench beside the gate. "Shaikh, everyone matters. Rich or poor, big or small, we are all human. My mother taught me that before she died." She said, "Amara, if you have food and someone is hungry, share it. If you have love and someone is lonely, give it. That is how we build a better world." Shaikh sat slowly beside her, his chest heavy with emotion. "Your mother was a wise woman. She was," Amara said quietly, "and I try to live by her words every day." For a long moment, they sat in silence. Then Shaikh said softly, "Thank you, Amara. You remind me that kindness is not dead." Amara smiled and stood up. "Eat well, Shaikh. I will see you tomorrow." As she walked away, Shaikh held the food in his hands and whispered, "I think I am falling in love with you." But he did not say it loud enough for her to hear. Weeks turned into months. Shaikh and Amara grew closer. They talked every day. She told him about her dreams of opening a small school for children. He told her about his hope to one day make a difference in people's lives. But he never told her the truth. He never told her who he really was. One evening, as the sun set and the gate was quiet, Amara walked toward him holding a small umbrella. "Shaikh, it is about to rain. Come inside the reception. You will get wet." Shaikh shook his head. "I have to stay here. It is my duty." "Your duty will not protect you from pneumonia," she said firmly. "Come inside." He smiled at her stubbornness and followed her into the building. They sat together in the reception area as rain poured outside. The sound of water hitting the roof filled the silence. "Amara," Shaikh said suddenly, "can I ask you something?" "Yes, if you found out someone you trusted was hiding something big from you, would you forgive them?" Amara looked at him carefully. "It depends. Why were they hiding it? Was it to hurt me or to protect me?" Shaikh swallowed hard. To protect themselves, and maybe to find the truth. Amara was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "If their heart was good, I would forgive them. But they must tell the truth eventually. Secrets always hurt more when they come out late." Shaikh nodded slowly, his heart heavy. He wanted to tell her. He wanted to say, "Amara, I am not who you think I am." But fear held his tongue. One Saturday morning, Shaikh stood at the gate as usual. But something felt different. Workers were whispering. Some were staring at their phones. Some were pointing at him. Shaikh frowned. What is happening? He wondered. Then Amara came running toward him, her face pale, her hands shaking. "Shaikh," she said, her voice breaking. "Is it true? Shaik's heart stopped. Is what true? She held up her phone. On the screen was a news headline. Billionaire's son missing for months. Family offers reward. Below the headline was a photo. A photo of Eziobi. A photo of him. Shaik felt the world tilt. His mouth went dry. His hands felt cold. Amara, you lied to me, she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. You lied to all of us. Amara, please listen. Why? She asked, her voice rising. Why would you do this? Was this all a game to you? Did you laugh at us behind our backs? Did you think we were stupid? No. Shaik stepped forward, desperate. Amara, I did this because I wanted to understand. I wanted to know what real life feels like. I wanted to see if people would treat me differently if I had nothing. I was not trying to hurt you. I was trying to find myself. Amara shook her head, tears streaming down her face. You found yourself by lying to me? Shaik's chest felt like it was breaking. I was going to tell you. I just did not know how. Amara stepped back. Stay away from me, Eziobi. Or Shaik. Or whoever you really are. She turned and walked away quickly, her shoulders shaking as she cried. Shaik stood frozen at the gate, his heart shattered into pieces. That evening, Shaik packed his small bag and left the security post. He did not say goodbye to anyone. He walked slowly through the streets, his mind replaying Amara's words over and over. You lied to me. He reached his small rented room, sat on the bed, and buried his face in his hands. I ruined everything, he whispered. But then he thought about Emeka. He thought about the cleaners he helped. He thought about the workers whose voices he heard for the first time. He thought about Amara's kindness, her mother's wisdom, her belief that everyone matters. And slowly, something inside him hardened into resolve. I cannot change the past, he said aloud, but I can change the future. The next morning, Eziobi returned to his father's house. Shifo Kankwo looked up in shock. Eziobi, where have you been? Do you know how worried I was? Eziobi stood tall. Father, I went to learn, and now I know what I must do. Shifo Kankwo frowned. What are you talking about? I am going to change everything, Eziobi said firmly. Our workers deserve better salaries. They deserve respect. They deserve to be treated like human beings, not machines. I am going to make sure our company becomes a place where people feel valued. His father stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he smiled. You have grown, my son. Eziobi nodded. Yes, father. I have. 2 months passed. Eziobi worked day and night. He raised workers' salaries. He built a medical clinic for staff. He started a scholarship program for employees' children. He fired managers who treated people badly. He listened to complaints. He made changes. Slowly, the company transformed. Workers smiled more. They worked harder because they felt respected. They told their friends, our boss cares about us. One afternoon, Eziobi stood in his office and looked out the window. His heart felt lighter, but it still ached, because Amara was not there to see it. He picked up his phone and sent her a message. Amara, I know I hurt you. I know you may never forgive me, but I want you to know that you changed my life. You taught me what kindness means. You showed me that wealth is not in money, but in how we treat others. I am sorry. I will always be sorry. He pressed send and waited. Hours passed. No reply. Days passed. Still nothing. Eziobi sighed deeply. Maybe some things cannot be fixed, he whispered. But Eziobi did not give up. Every week, he sent Amara a message. Not long messages. Not desperate messages. Just simple, honest words. I hope you are well today. I saw a woman helping a child cross the road. It reminded me of you. The workers are smiling now. You would be proud. Amara read every message. She never replied, but she read them. And slowly, her heart began to soften. She asked other workers about the changes happening in the company. They told her everything. Sister Amara, you need to see it, one cleaner said excitedly. Our children now have free school fees. The boss paid for everything. Another worker added, he built a clinic for us. My wife gave birth there last week. We paid nothing. Amara listened quietly, her heart beating faster. Is he really doing all this? She wondered. One evening, as she sat alone in her small apartment, she opened her Bible. She read a verse her mother used to read to her. Forgive, and you will be forgiven." Amara closed her eyes. "Mama," she whispered, "what should I do?" In her heart, she heard her mother's voice, soft and gentle. "Follow your heart, my daughter. If his heart has truly changed, do not let pride stop you from forgiving." Amara wiped her tears and made a decision. Then one morning, as Eziobi sat in his office, his secretary knocked on the door. "Sir, someone is here to see you." Eziobi looked up. The door opened slowly, and there she was, Amara. She stood in the doorway, her face calm but her eyes soft. Eziobi stood up quickly, his heart pounding. "Amara," she walked in slowly and closed the door behind her. "I heard what you have been doing," she said quietly. "I heard how you changed the company. I heard how you helped the workers. I heard how you gave scholarships to their children." Eziobi swallowed hard. "I did it because of you. You showed me the way." Amara looked down at her hands. "I was angry. I felt betrayed. But then I realized something. You did not lie to hurt me. You lied to find the truth. And when you found it, you did not run away. You changed." Eziobi's eyes filled with tears. "Amara, I am so sorry. I never wanted to hurt you." She looked up at him, her eyes gentle. "I know, and I forgive you." Eziobi felt his knees weaken. "You forgive me?" Amara nodded. "Yes, because the man I met at the gate, the man who stood in the sun, the man who listened and cared, that man was real. That man was you." Eziobi stepped closer. "Amara, I love you. I fell in love with you the first day you gave me water. I fell in love with your kindness, your heart, your soul, and I will spend the rest of my life proving that I am worthy of you." Amara smiled, tears sliding down her cheeks. "Then prove it." Eziobi reached into his desk drawer and pulled out a small box. He opened it slowly. Inside was a simple ring. "Amara, will you marry me?" Amara covered her mouth, her eyes wide. Then she nodded. "Yes, yes, Eziobi, I will." He slipped the ring onto her finger and pulled her into his arms. They held each other tightly, both of them crying, both of them laughing, both of them finally free. 6 months later, inside the same company where Eziobi once worked as a security guard, a grand event was held. Workers, managers, cleaners, and guards all gathered in the main hall. Eziobi stood at the front, Amara beside him, both of them smiling. "Thank you all for coming," Eziobi said warmly. "Today, I want to say something important. I used to think that being a leader meant being powerful. I thought it meant giving orders and making money. But I was wrong." He paused and looked around the room. "True leadership means serving others. It means lifting people up. It means seeing every person as valuable, no matter their title or position." The workers clapped loudly. Eziobi smiled and continued. "I also want to thank someone very special. Amara taught me that kindness is the greatest wealth. She showed me that love grows where humility lives. And because of her, I am a better man." He turned to Amara and held her hand. "Amara, will you stand with me as we build a future where everyone is respected, where everyone is valued, where everyone matters?" Amara squeezed his hand and nodded. "Always." The workers stood and cheered. Some cried. Some hugged each other. Emeka, the guard Eziobi once helped, stood in the back with tears streaming down his face. "God is good," he whispered. "God is so good." After the celebration, Eziobi walked through the company compound with Amara by his side. They stopped at the security post where he once stood. Emeka was on duty that day. When he saw Eziobi, he stood up quickly and saluted. "Sir, good afternoon." Eziobi shook his head with a smile. "Emeka, you don't need to salute me. We are brothers." Emeka's eyes widened. "Sir, you remember when I gave you money for your son's hospital?" Eziobi asked. Emeka nodded. "Yes, sir. I will never forget. My son is strong and healthy now because of you. You called me your brother that day." Eziobi said gently. "That meant more to me than any title ever could." Emeka's eyes filled with tears. "Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything you have done for us." Eziobi placed his hand on Emeka's shoulder. "You taught me something, Emeka. You taught me that real wealth is not what we keep, but what we give." Amara watched them with a warm smile. This was the man she loved, not because he was rich, not because he was powerful, but because he had learned to see people the way her mother taught her to see them, as equals, as family, as human beings worthy of love and respect. 3 months later, Eziobi and Amara stood before friends, family, and workers in a beautiful garden. Shifo Kankwo sat in the front row, pride shining in his eyes. The workers filled every seat, dressed in their finest clothes. When the pastor asked, "Do you take this woman to be your wife?" Eziobi looked into Amra's eyes and said clearly, "I do. With all my heart." When it was Amra's turn, she smiled and said, "I do." Today and forever. They kissed as everyone cheered. Later, at the reception, Eziobi stood to give a speech. "My wife and I want to announce something," he said. The room went quiet. "We are starting a foundation," Eziobi continued. "It will be called the Amara Foundation. We will help sick people who cannot afford treatment. We will build schools in poor communities. We will give scholarships to children who cannot pay school fees. And we will train young people so they can find good jobs." The workers erupted in applause. Some stood on their feet. Some wiped their eyes. Amara stood beside her husband, her heart full of joy. This was the life her mother dreamed of for her. A life of purpose. A life of giving. A life of love. As the event ended and people began to leave, Eziobi and Amara walked outside together. They stood by the gate where they first met. "This is where it all started," Amara said softly. Eziobi nodded. "Yes, this is where I learned that real wealth is not in buildings or money. It is in the hearts we touch." Amara leaned her head on his shoulder. "And you have touched so many hearts, Eziobi." He kissed her forehead gently. "Only because you touched mine first." They stood there together as the sun set over Lagos. To people who found love in the most unexpected place. A billionaire's son who learned humility. A kind woman who never stopped believing in goodness. Together, they proved that love built on truth, kindness, and humility will always stand strong. And their story became a reminder to everyone who heard it. Kindness reveals a person's true character. Love grows where humility lives. And real wealth is found in the hearts we touch. In the end, this story reminds us of something very important. One small act of kindness can change a whole life. One moment of love can save a broken heart. And one helping hand can lift a family from pain to joy. Amara did not know that giving water to a security guard would open the door to miracles. Kindness never dies. It always finds its way back. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but it always returns with blessings. My dear viewers, what do you think about this touching story? Please share your thoughts in the comment section. I would love to read from you. And guess what? In a few days, I will upload another very interesting story. So, make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on your notification bell so you will be notified immediately the story drops. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and share it with your friends. Thank you so much for watching.